Welcome back to Return My Capital. Today, we're going to take a look at the DIA ETF, which is a monthly dividend paying ETF provided by Spider. It tracks the Dow Jones Industrial Index. And you'll see over the past year, it's about even. Over the past, let's say, just over 4 months on the year to date, it's down 9%. So it has held up better than both the S&P 500 as well as the NASDAQ, certainly. But over the past 5 years, we see performance coming in at nearly 66%, and then over the past decade, nearly 120%. Currently trading towards the bottom, lower half certainly, of the 52-week range. Shares are 388. Bottom of that range is 366. Up top of that range is 451. This ETF does carry a 0.16% expense ratio. Now, it is a monthly dividend payer, and we'll get into that here in just a moment. But really, from an expense ratio perspective, nothing extreme. You could certainly consider this a low-cost ETF. You see it has a 1.76 percentage yield. Now let's kick down here and take a look quickly at the returns as they compare strictly a total return versus the S&P 500. So total return, no, it's about 0.5% down as it compares to the S&P 500 over the past year. Over the past 3 years, it's down 2%. Past 5 years, about 20% less than the S&P 500 on a total return basis. And then over the past decade, 30% less. Now, this is a bit of a unique ETF because the Dow Jones Industrial Index is unique. Okay, so let's look at the top 10 holdings. Only 31 holdings in the Dow Jones Index. Of the top 10 holdings, they make up 55% of this entire index as well as ETF. So let's quickly actually kick over to the actual prospectus here from the Spider website. So again, you'll see that same expense ratio, 0.16, monthly dividend distribution frequency. 30 holdings, it's 30, 31. It's just because it's counting the small cash holdings. You'll see the price to earnings ratio, at least on the current basis, is just over 17%. Let's go ahead and look at holdings. So top holding is United Health, followed by Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, Home Depot, Sherwin-Williams, Visa, McDonald's, Amgen, Caterpillar, and Salesforce. And you'll see the individual weightings there from 8.5% for UNH all the way down to, let's say, 4% for Salesforce. So fairly evenly distributed. You don't have any double-digit holdings. And then even when we look at all 30 holdings, let me move this over. You'll see that even the smallest weighting, Verizon, is still 0.7% weighted. So fairly even distribution. Now, the thing that's unique for the Dow Jones Index is that it's a share price weighted index, not a market cap weighted index. So, certainly United Health isn't a larger company from a market cap perspective than Microsoft, but United Health shares are significantly higher than a share of Microsoft, or certainly a share of Coca-Cola or Verizon. But that being said, you see the sectors here, pretty even distribution throughout several of the sectors. So you get a little bit of diversity there, and then nothing too overweight or underweight from a holding perspective. Now let's kick back over here. So again, 30 holdings in the Dow Jones, top 10 holdings individually, 55, let's say 56% weighting. Let's look at the sectors real quick. So top sector are financials at 23.5%, technology almost 19%, healthcare 17%, consumer cyclical or consumer discretionary, however you want to call that out, 14%, industrials 12%, materials a little over 5%, and that's really just because of the Sherwin-Williams holding. I think actually that is the largest materials holding, or I should say Sherwin-Williams is the largest material classification or material sector company in the world, I believe. Consumer defensive 5%, or consumer staple, again, call it what you want. Energy at 2.3%, and communication at 2%. And I believe that might just be because of Disney. Let's go ahead and take a look at that holding chart again. So let's see. Oh, Verizon as well. Communication, Disney Communications. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. So a little bit of distribution throughout a variety of sectors, obviously, as it would relate to the S&P 500 compared to the Dow Jones here. Financials are overweight in the Dow Jones. Technology would be underweight. Healthcare would be slightly overweight. Let's see what else. Materials would be slightly overweight. Communications certainly would be underweight here in the Dow Jones, but so that's just to give you a feel of what is contained within this index and this ETF. Now, like I said, this is a monthly dividend payer, right? And so that's really what this ETF is giving you. These companies aren't monthly dividend paying companies. The ETF itself is distributing an annual distributions worth of dividends across the 12 months. So you do get that monthly frequency on the dividend distribution through holding DIA. The next payout date will be April 14th. If we look at the dividend growth history, it's not going to be year over year increases every single year because the underlying holdings in the index as well as this ETF will change over time. But that being said, it is still, up and to the right if you look over the years. So in 2014, the annual dividend paid by this index and ETF was $3.59. A year later, 406. And then you look here in 2024, we're talking about $6.83. So a significant appreciation over time from a dividend growth perspective as the companies that are held within this index and thus ETF increase dividends over time. I mean, again, if we go ahead and look at all the holdings within the index, United Health Group, United Health Group, Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, Home Depot, Sherwin-Williams. I mean, you go down the list, and these are, some of the best dividend growth companies that you can hold individually. I mean, yeah, really. I mean, across the board, it's a who's who of dividend growth companies. Um, and so that's why you see that dividend growth performance over time. I mean, from 359 10 years ago to 683, that's phenomenal. Quickly, we'll just compare on the chart here a couple of different ETFs. So you see here the profiles of these 5 ETFs we'll take a look at. So you've got DIA. We'll compare that to VU, which is the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. QQQ, which is the NASDAQ ETF from Invesco, SCHD, so very, very popular dividend-focused ETF from Schwab, and then JEPI, which is a covered call ETF, another monthly dividend payer from JP Morgan. So the goals of these ETFs are different, the strategies are different, but just thought it would be interesting to compare these from a total return perspective. So again, total return, we'll say over the past month with how the market's been performing lately, you see they're all getting crushed. SCHD over the past month is down almost 12%. JEPI is only down 8%. Congrats. DIA down 9%. So I guess they're holding up a little bit better. But if we look year to date, we'll see that the top performer is JEPI, down only 6.4%, followed by SCHD at down 7, DIA down 8, and in last place would be the QQQ ETF, down 15% year to date. It's having a nice bounce today. Over the past year, we see that the top performer is DIA, down a little less than 1%. The worst performer would be QQQ, down 3.25%. Over the past 3 years, though, QQQ is now the top performer, up 23.5%, followed by VU, the S&P 500, up 18.5%, then DIA 16.5%, and in last place would be SCHD, up only 6.5% over the last 3 years. Again, total return. And then we'll wrap things up here with a 5-year comparison. It's not really fair to JEPI because, let's see, tracking for them starting, middle of the year in 2020 when that ETF was launched. So I'm showing May 26th, 2020. May 21st, 2020. So this ETF was launched around that time. So you're not going to get the full 5-year total return out of JEPI just yet. But that being said, for the 5-year performance, we've got the Qs at 122, VU at nearly 100, SCHD at 87%, DIA 79%, and then JEPI at 59%. So, again, the goals and the indexes that these are tracking, the strategies, different across all of these. I just thought it'd be interesting to compare from a total return perspective how things have done. So, again, if you're looking for monthly income, a dividend focus, a growth focus, a broader index to be tracking, suit yourself, right? The different strokes for different folks. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of do a quick review of DIA here. It's not one that I personally own or one that I've really looked into prior to this. But if you're interested in tracking the Dow Jones Industrial Index, DIA is a way to do that and receive monthly dividend distributions. Again, if that's something that you're interested in. But hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned a little something from it. If you did, like, subscribe if you want to. If not, whatever. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.